More about the life and the mental trouble of Aaron Alexis, and it's odd. Alexis killed 12 people yesterday at a D.C. Navy yard, and according to the puzzle that the FBI is piecing together, well, he was a strange combination of paranoid and friendly and a lot of rage. He always carried a gun, and he received an honorable discharge from the Navy Reserves, and he had top secret clearance for his job at the Navy yard. And we can paint a picture of who he was, but not why he did this. Tonight, Dr. J. Buzz von Ornsteiner is here to break down some of the questions that we have about all of it since yesterday. Well, let's talk first of all. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
When we look at him, he did make attempts to get help. There's not any history of him having any kind of medication or being on medication, and he had support. So what happened? Did he fall through the cracks? Because we say that a lot, and it seems like this is a clear case of it.
Real tragedy, because you see an individual who's clearly suffering. You see an individual who does have friends, who's not in isolation, who has, it seems like he has support and people like him. He has a father that's certainly concerned about him, felt he was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, but clearly there was something more. And there's no history of medication, but in the last month of August, he made attempts at 2 VA hospitals. You know, we don't know what happened when he made those attempts, but clearly if someone has paranoid delusions and auditory hallucinations, they're clearly in an emotional conflict. They want help, but maybe he couldn't bring himself to admit that to the psychiatrist or the doctors who interviewed him. You
know, we heard about hearing voices, paranoia, fits of rage. Is it possible that when we look at motive, because we want to know what happened, what caused this, is it possible with symptoms like that, mental, illnesses like that, there might not be any kind of motive? We might never know. Absolutely. It's a horrible combination. You have someone who has paranoid delusions, you have someone who has auditory hallucinations, who thinks people are talking to him through the walls, that are out to get him. It's a dynamic where someone has limited coping skills, that they reach for the gun, they don't have good negotiation skills, and they're also not talking to anybody. So he may have friends, but he's not sharing that information with his friends. He's trying to hold it together. All right, before I let you go, let me ask you one more thing. How do we feel safe when we see something like this? We see it and we all say the same thing. It could happen anywhere. Absolutely, and it can. You know, for the people in the Navy Yard, you know, they're going to have to self-talk themselves. They're going to have to work through the fear, because we all have to work. We all have to be productive members of society. Show up the next day. Absolutely, we've got to do what we have to do, and we can't let fear rule us. The same thing I would say to people here in the workforce. You know, do you have a plan where you work? Are you friends with the people you work with, your coworkers? Have you ever discussed it? Be ready for anything, essentially. Absolutely. All right, Dr. Buzz, always good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on this one. Scott, we'll send it back over to you.